Think redlining died in the 1960s? Think again. Redlining never stopped. It just got rebranded. Banks are still denying non-white communities access to fair credit from the 1930s until now. But no one teaches this in school. The redlining case files breaks it all down. Real cases, real consequences, and real receipts. Learn how redlining still shapes your community today. If you're white, non-white, or just care about justice, you need this guide. Download the redlining case files now. What's happening? Thank y'all for tapping into the Constructive House channel, where we promote balance between all people, guaranteeing that those that need the most help get the most constructive help in all areas of people activity. And today's segment is going to be from our Behind the Lines playlist, where we discuss lending discrimination and redlining, as we believe it is very constructive to bring you awareness of anyone who's practicing these actions. So today's violator is a company that goes by the name Lakeland Bank, based out of northern New Jersey, and they were violated by the United States Department of Justice and had to settle for $13 million for modern redlining, geographic exclusion, and marketing neglect. So let's get into it, y'all. It looks like in 2022, September, the Department of Justice announced a redlining settlement with Lakeland Bank, a mid-sized regional lender based in New Jersey. And the DOJ alleged that from 2015 to 2021, Lakeland deliberately avoided providing mortgage services to Black and Hispanic neighborhoods, particularly in and around Newark, a city with a majority non-white population. So yes, nasty work, classic redlining. For those of you who do not know what redlining is, that's when you're discriminating on applicants based on where they live, their national origin, or religion. But in this case, and in many of cases we've already reviewed, it's typically based on the color of your skin. Yes, we're still continuing the mistreatment of people based on the color of their skin. And this case focused less on explicit racism and more on patterns of geographic neglect, branch locations, loan officer placements, and a lack of meaningful marketing or outreach in communities of color. Now, I know they say it's less explicit, which lets me know about the nasty work that the other companies were doing. But let's face it. These are the same accusations for all of the cases we reviewed. Limited branch locations in non-white communities. Loan officers not placed to serve or provide any lending efforts in non-white communities. And no marketing or outreach in non-white communities. That's been the allegations time and time again after all of these new out of nowhere, these new cases where we're going to launch investigations of redlining. And as I see, and my recent research has actually shown, the Department of Justice is going to terminate this agreement, this settlement out of court. They're going to terminate it, even though they put all this manpower and all this effort into launching investigations, going through HMDA reports, going through all kind of loan applications, all to terminate it just because. So we'll have to do another look on that, and I'll dive into them terminating it. But I do find it very constructive to bring this to light because the Department of Justice found it constructive to settle for $13 million. But like I said before, and I'll say it again, I feel that some of this could be a money grab because from the looks of things, it seems to be a slap on the wrist. And I know more times than not, banks are all guilty of these actions, but I'm seeing that they're just making money grabs, and they're getting slaps on the wrist, and the punishments are things that we cannot quantify. Like, there's no way we can quantify the community outreach actually going on unless they're gonna roll that out to the public and show us the reports. But let's look at some of these key allegations. So it looks like the branch desert. Despite having branches across northern New Jersey, Lakeland had none in majority Black and Hispanic neighborhoods for over 6 years. Zero, not one branch in any Black or Hispanic community. No non-white communities had any branch from Lakeland Bank. It also looks like they had loan gaps, and they originated significantly fewer loans in non-white communities than comparable banks. Now, remember, we've gone over this several times. They're going to look into, and by they, I mean the Department of Justice, they're going to look into how you're lending compared to your peers. And it looks like Lakeland Bank was not doing the same type of originations, which is loan applications, as their peers, which is always going to be a red flag. And then they'll start taking a deeper dive into it and see if it has any pattern of lending discrimination. But another key allegation was marketing blind spots, no targeted outreach, marketing, or community partnerships in Newark or surrounding diverse areas, which is the same as we saw with all the others: Ameris Bank, Trident Mortgage Company, Fairway Independent Mortgage Company, and Park National, City National Bank. I mean, I can keep going with all of this lending discrimination. And it looks like they also found an allegation against staffing inequity, and they had no loan officers assigned to non-white communities' zip codes. None. Zero. None. How are you going to do a loan and you don't even have anyone in that area? So I mean, this is classic redlining, but it looks like they've decided to terminate the case and the settlement, which I find very interesting, but we're still going to break it down nonetheless. So a part of the $13 million settlement, which was their DP, was $12 million was to be applied in loan subsidy programs. Again, I don't know how you actually quantify this, but we'll see what they do about it. $750,000 of those dollars was supposed to be applied to outreach, partnerships, and consumer education. Also, mandatory fair lending training and external monitoring. Commitment to open at least 2 new branches in underserved neighborhoods. So I don't know how you quantify these things outside of the $13 million. I mean, mandatory fair lending training. I've worked in mortgages for several years, and we have fair lending training that's mandatory every year. So I don't know what else they're doing. I don't know how they quantify this. Again, I feel that this may be some sort of a slap on the wrist to give out the confusion by illusion that you're doing something that's going to benefit, and all they're really doing is just grabbing money from the banks that they feel owe for all the violations, because they know they can just dip their hand in there and find violators. They started this redlining back in 1933, established by the Homeowners Loan Corporation, and they haven't looked back. If they know they can just dip in there and find any violator, they know that they're still using those same maps and they're still using those same practices to continue to widen the wealth gap between white and non-white. They know they're doing it. That's how they're able to slap everybody with all these disciplinary actions. They know it. That's what's going on. And the Lakeland Bank case is no different. It is an example of how redlining doesn't always look like hatred, where they're just saying no because you're black, no because you're Hispanic, no because you're non-white, but they are still avoiding lending to you. See, we're in the refinement period of this discrimination thing. So they call that confusion by illusion.